I wrote an article over on Sports Illustrated, Clemson Sports Illustrated, that talked about the last 10 years, the decade of the Clemson Tigers, Al.
Hmm.
Did you know that I write a little bit for Clemson Sports Illustrated? I don't think I've even said this to you.
I've heard a little bit about it.
But so Zach Lentz over there, he needed some help, and he kind of hired a couple people. Now I'm just on a trial period, so they're not paying me anything, but I get to kind of, break my keyboard in a little bit. But talked about the Clemson, one of my articles recently was talking about Clemson's 10-year transformation. They asked Dabo Swinney after the game what one word would he describe the past decade for the Clemson Tigers, and he said transformative, if that's even a word, kind of jokingly. I don't know if it was or not, but the transformation that's happened from Clemson from then, when it was Dabo Swinney's first recruiting class, first full season, to now, 10 years later, has been pretty amazing, to say the least. If you look back, Al, 2009, I think, was like a 9-3 season.
Mm-hmm.
The Tigers had Kyle Parker still had C.J. Spiller. They weren't able to get over the hump. C.J. Spiller went off. I know you and I think we were watching this game together. C.J. Spiller went off in the ACC championship game. I think he had 4 touchdowns, and they still lost the game. And
I
they
was
lost
actually there.
Yes, you were there. I was watching it from Audrey's dad's house. That's right. And it was like 3. They lost by 3 in Atlanta, right?
No, it was in Tampa, I think.
Tampa? Okay, so I don't even remember exactly where it was at, but they lost by, what was it, 38-35 or something like that? Really
We
close.
couldn't get any stops at all.
uh, but C.J. Spiller, I just remember that because of him. I knew it was his last game. It was kind of bittersweet to just see him just annihilate the field, just go all over, destroy everyone, and then they come up short. To see what Clemson has done now, that next year, 2010, was the start of, it was still Kyle Parker, no C.J. Spiller. It was the start of Taj Boyd as a backup.
Mm-hmm.
DeAndre Hopkins starting to get into some motion there. And then they went 6-7 and lost to the South Florida Bulls.
Yeah.
Not only that South Florida team that they lost to, but the one that Jeff Scott has gone to be the head coach for next year. Kind of interesting how things all work out, right? But
No doubt.
they lost that game, went 6-7. But, oh, man, there were so many players in that class. I know you and I went to the recruiting wrap-up because we talk about this all the time, where it was like 100 people there, and now the recruiting wrap-up's like 5,000 people.
Yeah.
But just that laying of that foundation of those players, Spencer Shuey, Malachi Goodman, Catanzaro, Boyd, Hopkins, Martavis Bryant, all these guys in there that would eventually go on, Vic Beasley, go on to do so well for the Tigers and kind of build that. They never won a championship. They never won any big-time college football national championship games or playoff games, but they were a huge starting point for the Tigers. A lot of people say that 4th and 16 play was the turning point for the Tigers.